Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Patriot Nation TV. I'm your host, Tim Davis, your New Age Patriot with a 1776 attitude. Just one man, one opinion. It is Sunday, June 6th, 2021. And this brings me to what I want to discuss today. Just give a little tribute to the greatest generation. And for those who aren't familiar with today's date, June 6th, 1944, the Allies stormed the beaches of Normandy. And that brings us to today. It's the anniversary of D-Day, 77 years ago today. So let me start off by saying thank you guys, the greatest generation. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here today. At least I wouldn't be here today speaking in English, giving this little broadcast. So we honor and salute all of you. So I'll start off by doing a little quote of what General Eisenhower, Dwight D. Eisenhower, said on June 6, 1944. And I quote, "Let us all beseech the blessings of Almighty God upon this great and noble undertaking." Dwight D. Eisenhower. So, on this date in 1944, Allied troops land on the beaches of Normandy, France. Today is the anniversary of D-Day. That effort was massive. More than 5,000 ships, 13,000 aircraft would eventually participate in the invasion, and more than 160,000 Allied soldiers would disembark on French shores. It was the largest amphibious invasion in history. It was also the beginning of the end of Nazi Germany. Dicey weather nearly put a stop to everything, but General Dwight D. Eisenhower plowed ahead. The landings had already been delayed once, and he didn't want to delay it again. The tides were changing soon after June 6th. It would be weeks before favorable tides would return. In other words, further delays were not an option. Planning for the operation had been conducted with the utmost secrecy. Obviously, the Germans could not discover the plan, and in fact, details of the landing were kept secret even from the soldiers who were expected to participate in them. We knew we were preparing for a landing. One American soldier later described, "We didn't know where or the exact date or anything until we were getting ready to load up, you know? I don't know even whether our officers knew exactly everything." Nevertheless, Allied planners had a few scares. For one thing, they discovered that some of their code names were being used in Daily Telegraph crossword puzzles. Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword were code names for beaches in France, but they were also answers to crossword puzzles during May 1944. Oddly, other codes, names such as Mulberry and Overlord, popped up in the puzzle, too. Was the creator of these puzzles trying to send messages to Nazi Germany? Who knows? But it was investigated, but cleared. The issue seems to have arisen because he was given inspiration for his puzzles from boys attending school near a military base. And brings us to this day. D-Day finally arrived. Allied forces undertook an extensive aerial and naval bombardment, and they inserted airborne troops into the area just after midnight. Finally, infantry, armed divisions began just after midnight. Finally, infantry and armored divisions began their beach landings at dawn. The day was hard. Allied forces didn't accomplish any of their short-term objectives. They meant to seize several beaches and link them. They also intended to seize control of several specified cities. None of that happened that day. At least not on the first day. Worse, thousands of soldiers were killed. Tens of thousands of soldiers were killed, wounded, or missing in action. On the other hand, Allied forces had accomplished something important. they seized a foothold on European shores, and the eyes of the world are upon them, upon you. Eisenhower has written his men just before landings began. The hopes and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you. I have full confidence in your courage, devotion to duty, and skill in battle. We will accept nothing less than full victory. And eventually, that's exactly what we got. Victory in Europe. Victory in Europe Day was less than 1 year away. And unfortunately, in today's society, we're missing a lot of our past and our history. This brings me to one more thing, then I'm going to end this show. On this day in 2004, actually it was yesterday, I apologize, it was June 5th, on 2004, Ronald Reagan passes away after a long battle with Alzheimer. During his farewell address to the nation, Reagan spoke of the importance of education and history. His words are worth reprinting in full. And basically, this is what he says. An informed patriotism is what we want, and we are doing a good enough job teaching our children what America is and what she represents in the long history of the world. Those of us who are over 35 or so years of age grew up in a different America. We were taught very directly what it means to be an American. And we absorbed, almost in the air, a love of country and the appreciation of its institutions. If you didn't get these things from your family, you got them from your neighborhood, from the father down the street who fought in Korea or World War II, or Vietnam, or the family who lost someone in Anzio. Or you could get a sense of patriotism from school. And if all else failed, you could get a sense of patriotism from the popular culture, the movies. The movies celebrated democratic values and reinforced the idea that America was special. TV was like that too. Through the mid-60s, early 70s, it started changing. By now, we're about to enter the 90s, and some things have changed. Younger parents aren't sure that the appreciation of America is the right thing to teach modern children. The liberals, the hippies, such like that. And as for those who create popular culture, well-grounded in patriotism is no longer the style. Our spirit is back, but we haven't reinstitutionalized it. We've got to do a better job of getting across that America is freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of enterprise. And freedom is special and rare. It's fragile, and it needs protection. So we've got to teach history based on what's in fashion. We got to teach history based on what's not in fashion. Wokeness, culturalism, and stuff like that. But what's important, we need to teach why the Pilgrims came here, who Jimmy Doolittle was, and what those 30 seconds over Tokyo meant. 4 years ago, on the 40th anniversary of D-Day, I read a letter from a young woman writing to her late father, who fought on Omaha Beach. Her name was Lisa Zanata Hen, and she said, "He will always remember. We will never forget what the boys of Normandy did." Well, let's help her keep her word. If we forget what we did, we won't know who we are. I am warning of an eradication of the American memory that could result, ultimately, in an erosion of the American spirit, which we see today. Let's start with some basics. More attention to American history, and a greater emphasis on civic ritual. Ronald Reagan. Wise words, Mr. Reagan, President Reagan. Rest in peace, sir. So that's my little take on today's anniversary, 77 years ago today, of the greatest generation, June 6th, 1944. I hope everybody enjoyed this little presentation in remembrance. So I'm going to tune out. I'm going to say God bless you, God bless America. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.